I knew that I was suffering at that time in my work and even in my personal life, but I was blaming other people. And somehow that video showed me that, whatever I am suffering from, I have a role to play in that. As a life coach helps you achieve your goals faster, whatever you want to achieve in life or however you want to experience life. Life coach just helps you see what's stopping you from doing that. We are looking at the future. So if you keep bringing the past in, I have not never done this, or this is what happened, I wouldn't let them really keep talking about the past because it doesn't matter, right? What matters is where they're going. So my clients are like finding them, they're wasting a lot of time in thinking about things and not taking action towards what they want to achieve. So I help them really master the tools to stop overthinking, and I call it start overjoy achieving, right? But the reason you're not creating what you want is because you have a bunch of thoughts about what has already happened. Whatever happened, happened. If you're in a call with me, you're safe. And then I have done bunch of certification. I'm a hypnotist also. I am now doing Zumba also. I'm like bringing in so many elements and I keep learning. But you're probably not even realizing the lies that your brain is telling you. So first we go reflect on your past creations and we find those thoughts. When you identify them, we do the work, then you slowly start practicing it, then you start identifying it in the moment. That's the difference. That's what life coaching helps you do. Really become the person who chooses intentionally how to think, feel, and act in every area of your life. You know.
Life coaching or counseling? Therapist or a coach? When might you need a coach and why? How do you find the right one? If you have got questions about life coaching, you are at the right place. Welcome to today's episode, where we'll dive into everything you need to know about life coaching and find some answers together. Today, we have an inspiring guest whose mission is to help people unlock their potential and achieve their personal and professional goals. Joining us is a life coach who has guided countless individuals on their journey to self improvement and success. With a deep understanding of human behavior and a passion of empowering others, our guest is here to share valuable insights and strategies for living your best life. What made her switch her career while climbing up the corporate ladder in the IT world? What inspired her to quit her 13 plus years of successful managerial role and become a life coach? Let's find out more from our guest herself. Please welcome Kavita Popli.
Thank you.
So let's begin with knowing you as a person. Can you describe your
Mhm.
personality and what you do?
Well, it changes every day. Let me take a stab today. So I see myself as a very spiritual person. Um, And what I'm doing these days is trying to connect spirituality with my business. And I love dancing. I am a Zumba instructor also because I love dancing. I love making people dance. I love celebration energy. And these days, one of my loves is improv. So yes, I love laughter. I love loving. I love celebration. That's what's coming to me today.
Mm.
Was there anything specific, Gayatri, that you wanted me to address?
Uh, I just wanted to know the personality of a life coach.
Mhm. That's a good one. The personality of life coach is just being who they really are. I think the beauty about every person, like there are 8 billion people, and I think each one of us is so unique. So, frankly, anyone can become a life coach and they will become a very, very unique life coach, 1 in 8 billion life coach, because their personality as a life coach will reflect their personality as a human, which is very unique as well. So, I think my personality is this bubbly, you know. happy-go-lucky kind of a person, but I can get really deep and very, very like analytical when I need to in order to serve my clients. So
Right,
I think I balance that really well, both of them.
right, right. So you had a good, like, successful career in IT, right? Before you came into this field.
Yeah, I mean, IT enabled services. So I was a software engineer for like 3 years and then did my MBA. And then I worked in HR process consulting at Deloitte. And then I did that for 8 years. And then I moved on to industry role. So actually, I did a lot more than IT as well. But to your point, yes,
Oh, nice.
13 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you change your career? Like, it's complete shift.
Yeah, it is. So in my last role, before I switched, I was with Diageo. I was heading their HR governance function globally. And I think because I had made a shift from consulting to industry, I was kind of going through a transition. I wasn't understanding how to really manage stakeholders because the culture was completely different. The ways things happened there was completely different. So I was really struggling inside. And in fact, I was being sponsored for an executive coaching at that time because I was part of the leadership team. That was my first sort of dip into coaching and what that could do. But I think my shift came from when I was actually lying on my bed. I love self growth related things. I have always loved, growing myself and improving myself. So one of my favorite things to do on weekends is just kind of search about self growth opportunities. And as I was doing that on this weekend, there was a video I stumbled upon, which was like, I still remember it was 12-minute, 59-second video. And it was of a hairstylist getting coached by a coach. And this hairstylist was complaining, my boss doesn't appreciate me. She's this, she's that. And this coach took her from that within those 13 minutes and less to, you know what, this is what I am not doing. And this is where my work is. And I'm going to focus on that. And I remember just looking at that, Gayatri, and saying, whatever this woman has, I want it because it feels like a real deal. Because I knew that I was suffering at that time in my work and even in my personal life, but I was blaming other people. And somehow that video showed me that, whatever I am suffering from, I have a role to play in that. And that moment, I think there was already seed planted. And the coming months, I started following her podcast and then I joined her program and everything started to shift inside, even the external circumstances were the same. And that's when I realized that this work is really powerful and I'm going to switch. I still took few months to transition, but once I did it, there has been no looking back.
Wow, nice. So what is life coach exactly? Like, how do you describe life coach?
It's an interesting one because there is no one definition that coaches would agree upon as well. But one of the definitions that I really, actually two, three definitions that are coming to my mind. One way I describe it is a life coach just helps you get better at life. Like a sports coach will help you get better at your chosen sport. A life coach helps you get better at life. The other way I describe it is a life coach helps you achieve your goals faster. Whatever you want to achieve in life or however you want to experience life, life coach just helps you see what's stopping you from doing that. And it's always the thoughts in our head, which is what that video kind of demonstrated it for me, right? So life coach just helps you see that clearly. And I think the visual that's coming to my mind, which I often share with my clients, is it's like you and I, like a life coach and a client, are sitting on a couch together and they're watching a movie together. And the movie is the brain of the client. So we're like saying, you see right there, that's what you're thinking, and that's what's causing you to feel this way, and that's what's causing you to do these things and not do these things. And so when when you start seeing that, when the client starts to see that so clearly, then they're like, oh my God, I don't want to think this way. Or I love this. I want to continue doing this way. So as a life coach, I'm not really telling them what to do. I am just showing them how their brain is working and how they are creating whatever they're creating in their life. And once they see it, once anyone sees it, they stop doing it, right? Like if they realize they're hitting themselves like this, and I show them how exactly, then they just know, okay, I have to stop doing that. So that's, I'm probably giving you very long answers. You can tell me to cut short, okay, if I'm talking too
Good,
much.
good. Because
That's what a life coach does.
yeah, because all my most of my audience is like very layman population. So this is good. Like they don't want to know any like technical terms, but you're
Yes.
getting very nice, like with simple language because even the kids can enjoy listening, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love doing that. I'm very chatty, so glad to know that your audience would benefit from that.
Yeah, yeah. Simple language is the key, actually. So,
Yes, absolutely.
So what is the difference between counseling and life coach? There is a lot of confusion between life coaching and counseling.
Yeah, these are very, very different terms. There are not just counseling. There's a lot of like, there's, therapy, and you would find psychologists, and there you can go into like depth of each of them. But there are some professions, for example, therapy, that when you go to therapy, then they're also helping you with life. But the way I kind of explain it, for example, counseling, therapy come under similar bucket, right? They the way somebody explained, and I love this. It's like, therapy sometimes is you have dug a hole and you are into it. And now a therapist is getting you out of that hole.
Mhm. Mhm.
Versus life coaching is like you are on the flat ground and see a mountain and you're like, I want to go to that mountaintop. And then you take a help of a life coach to help you get there faster.
Oh,
So that's kind of the difference in just in analogical terms. But what it really means is that sometimes people have trauma in their life. Sometimes they've gone through some situations, maybe death in the family, or maybe something that really affected them in childhood or at any age. And that stayed with them. And they keep repeating that trauma in their minds and they keep focusing on that. And it stops them from really showing up in their lives fully and even feeling motivated enough. So therapy is really a good fit for them. They want to vent out, they want to process all of that, right? But as a life coach, when somebody comes to me, I assume they're already whole and complete. They're already on the flat ground and they just want have a specific goal and they need help to achieve it. My job is to just help them see how to get there faster. So does that kind of get to us
yeah, yeah.
like some sense of? Otherwise these are very confusing terms. You can go deeper and the lines sometimes get blurry, right? And this is not a regulated profession as such as life coaching, so things can get a bit blurry. But in simple terms, like even as an approach, if I tell you, sometimes even mentoring is another terms that's used, right? All of these have different approaches people use and also different outcomes that they're trying to get you to. For example, a mentor is just kind of helping you, telling like if I have achieved something and you want to achieve that, then I'm helping you or by giving you advice on what has worked and what you can probably try. But it's very different from a life coach, because as a life coach I don't even need to have done what you want to do, because my real job is just to help you see whatever you want to do, this is the reason, this is how you're approaching it, and you can change your mindset and change the way you're kind of approaching it. So that's another difference.
Right. So, as a common person, how do I know where should I go? Like to the counselor or to the life coach or to the mentor? How do I differentiate?
But it really depends on what you're looking for, right? So for example, if um if you feel like you're struggling, getting a lot of stuck in like a personal actually the easier way to explain this would be that sometimes we say that therapy is great for people who are struggling to find the motivation for daily life and they're not as excited about achieving their goals and doing this, right? But so that therapy is a really good start because it helps them get clarity and gives them space to process. And we've seen that in movies, right? Like you go to a therapist and they just listen to you so beautifully and so well. Some people are like that. They often come to me and they want to just vent out, right? And I'm like, I'm not the right space for you because my job isn't like, this is not the space you're going to get best value, because my job is to help you achieve a goal faster. And if you really want to vent and if you're not ready to change, then you're better handled in therapy, or therapy would suit you better. Because for life coaches, it's like, I want to go there and help me get there. And so it's a much more fast paced, and I wouldn't let my clients talk too much about the past, right? Because it's like when somebody comes to a life coach, they say that we are looking at the future. So
Mm.
if you keep bringing the past in, I have not never done this, or this is what happened, I wouldn't let them really keep talking about the past because it doesn't matter, right? What matters is where they're going. So that's the other way to look at it. That if you're focused on creating a new future for yourself, then life coach is a better fit. But if you feel like there's something from the past that's stuck and you want to be able to process that, then
Counseling.
therapist would help, right? And then the mentor is a completely different. Mentor is more like I have business goal to achieve, and I go to a person who's already done this and get some mentorship. So, life coaching is more mindset related. It addresses the way you're thinking and feeling and how you're approaching the goal, versus mentor is more on action. They will tell you what to do, what not to do, what to try. While life coaching is more about, the thoughts and feelings and the root cause level framework that you have with which you approach goals. Is that making sense, or is it becoming confusing?
No, no, no. That really makes sense. Like, yeah, it's between the past and the future, looking at the past and looking at the future. That's the
Yes, past focus would be therapy, and life coaching would be future focus. Yeah.
right. So, what kind of clients do you get? Like, what kind of questions or what kind of problems they get to you, bring to you?
So when I started out, I started out as a time management coach. So because I went to women and I did like a free 10 for 10 women, I just did free coaching, and I asked them that I'm designing a coaching program. What would you like? And they said, you know what, we don't have time. I'm like, okay, great. Let me help you get some time. So my offer was that I will help you free up 10 hours of your time every week without changing anything. Like without taking away any of your priorities, you're going to get those extra 10 hours.
Wow.
So that was the first sort of, I think, couple of years of my coaching business, which is now 5 years. It just turned five. So yeah, so that was what I started with. Then over the period of time, as I continued doing that and I kept evolving, I think somewhere wanted to make it more generic. So right now, what I help my clients do, and my clients are women leaders and entrepreneurs. What I help them do is I help them stop overthinking. So my clients are like finding they're wasting a lot of time in thinking about things and not taking action towards what they want to achieve. So I help them really master the tools to stop overthinking, and I call it start overjoy achieving, right? So the kind of problems that come in is that again, like let's say this client wants to go for a CXO role. So she's a leader in an organization. She wants to go to CXO role, but she doesn't actually believe that she can do it because she also has kids and she's already got so many priorities, and she's feeling like she's already not doing enough in the role, and how is she gonna be able to perform at the next level. So we really go into all of the details of what's causing her to feel like she's not doing enough. Is this actually true, or is it just a story her brain is telling her? And then it could even lead to her sort of designing, her entire time schedule in a way that she starts to allocate time, and then new obstacles come up, right? Like she's afraid of failure, she's afraid of raising hand, even though she now believes that she can do it, she's afraid of rejection. So all of those pieces, come in, and we kind of coach on that. So it really varies,
Right.
because I like to go deep with my clients. And again, it's different for different life coaches, whatever you want to do as a coach. For me, I realize that I like going deep with certain set of clients. So some of my clients have worked with me for years. So we go from, went from time management to parenting to, leadership, and how do they become an effective leader, to how do they also ingrain spirituality in their life and all of that. So it really ranges.
Oh, wow. So suppose I have some issues and I went to some life coach, and that
Mhm.
coach is not expert in this particular subject.
Yeah.
And so would you suggest somebody else to go, or
Yes.
just work like that? Like, How does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, again, each life coach has the different way they work with their clients because based on their expertise, they know what kind of framework or setup or container helps their clients get results. So, first of all, you would see them market very clearly about what they do. Like I keep talking about, this is my 6 month program. And this is what we do there. So everybody who comes and books a consultation, which is my way of intake, if you are interested, then book a consultation with me. So I spend 1 hour with those new people, understanding where they are, where they want to be, and then kind of laying out the path and telling them what my approach to this would be. And if I can't help them, then I would tell them. Or if sometimes it's just a quick fix, that I would point them to a podcast or some resource or somebody who they can just start following and their problem will get solved. So, depending on what they're looking for, that consultation really gives clarity on whether I am the right fit for them or somebody else. And then accordingly, I point them to those resources.
Right, right. But then how do I know when do I need a life coaching, basically? Like, because I as of now, like I am very happy, very content. I don't know where I'm going. That's
Yeah.
one thing. But then how do I know that I need a life coach?
I mean, if you're happy and content and you don't have any desire, like that's feeling like it's stopping me, then you probably don't need a life coach, right? It's like people who come to me are like, oh my God, I really want this and I want help. So they are very keen and they want to work and they want to solve that problem or they want to achieve that goal or they want to go deeper. So there's a lot of desire. That's what makes it a lot more fun, right? But sometimes it could happen, Gayatri, that let's say you stumble upon someone, you didn't even know you needed it, but you hear this person talking and you're like, oh my God, this is what I have too and I want that. And now the desire comes up and then you feel like it. So I would say if you don't feel any need, then you don't need a life coach.
Actually,
When
that
you
was
do start feeling, yeah, go ahead.
my next question. Actually, like stumbled upon someone. Like sometimes life becomes very stagnant and we don't know where to go. So at that
Hmm.
time, we need some goal, but we don't know what the goal should be. So
That's the goal then, right? That's your desire. Your desire is probably that I feel so bored, I feel so stagnant. So you could go to a life coach and say, help me pan out my next 6 months and help me understand what career shift to make and how would you approach that. And then you hear them, their approaches. And you may be able to do that actually with in consultation, or you may be able to even search for career coaches. There's so many, like so much marketing happening these days. And with AI, you can go to AI and actually ask those questions. That can be your first life coach to really solve those problems and point you to the right resources. And as your problem, I'm saying problem, but it doesn't have to be a problem. It's just a desire. Your desire starts to become stronger. Then you start to either actively search or you find something, and then it just, can go from there.
right, right, right. So how is the process? Can you explain the process, how it goes? Like suppose somebody comes to you with some goal to achieve. How is the
Yeah.
process? Like how long does it take? And what's the process like?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what their goal is and where they are. Sometimes, because here's the thing, right? As a life coach, I am not actually doing anything in there. I'm not taking any action. I'm not even telling them what action to take. I'm a mindset coach. There could be action-based coaches who just sort of, you hire them only because you want some accountability. Like you already know what you're doing. You just want someone to help you hold accountable. But that's not the kind of coaching I do. That's not the core of life coaching. What I help people do is help them understand why they are not doing what they want to do. Because if for example, you want to do something, you just go do it. There is no problem. But if you want to do something and you're finding yourself, let's say you want to go to gym and you're finding yourself every day like snoozing the alarm and not doing it, and your fitness is causing issues, then there is a deeper framework challenge, right? The way your brain is thinking, the habits are not aligned. So you need help in terms of understanding your brain so that you can start taking the action that you want to take.
Right.
So that's okay. I forgot what were we answering. I have a tendency to digress. What were you? You were asking me.
What's the process like? The client, your first meeting with the client, till he achieves his goal? What's
How
the
long it takes and the process, right? Yeah. So then now, because I am not actually making them do anything, I'm just helping them clarify their own brain and why they're doing. It's as simple as how quickly are they going to make a shift. Sometimes in one session they make a shift. In consultation itself, they understand and they are able to make a shift and they don't need any support anymore, right? But sometimes there are deep rooted patterns that we uncover, and that requires them more support. So my typical program is like 6 months, where first 3 months for example, I do the foundational work. If we identify there are some bigger thought patterns and that's not just affecting one area in their life, but this, then first 3 months in my program, I help them forget about the goal. I'm just like, let's build the foundational tools and understanding of emotional intelligence that will help you in any goal. So first 3 months we do that, and the next 3 months we focus on that goal and they apply the same tools to achieve it. So a lot of times they achieve like really big and massive goals they did not think possible in those 3 months. But every client has their own journey. Sometimes they drop the goal in midway because their clarity changed and they're like, I don't no longer want to do this. I want to do something else. So it really depends on where they want to go and how quickly they're able to move, because all we're doing is providing support and understanding their brain.
right?
And however, whatever time frame they need, whatever support they need, it's really the client deciding that, you
Right,
know?
right, right. So you said that anybody can be a coach, right? I heard it in one of
Absolutely.
yeah, I heard it in one of the podcasts that there is a good news and there is a bad news. Good news is
Hmm.
anybody can be a coach, and bad news
Hmm.
is anybody can be a coach. So
Why
how
is that a bad news?
because then we don't know who is the good coach. Like since like anybody
Hmm.
can be a coach, but then we don't know if that coach is good enough, right?
Hmm.
How do you find a good coach, the right coach?
I think the way I think about life coaching has, it's a very interesting space to be in, because the entry barrier is very low. Like you said, anyone can be a coach. You don't even need a certification. You can just decide today, I'm a coach. And that's it. Like nobody can challenge you, nobody can ask you to not offer your services because there is no regulation in this. But at the same time, it's the success barrier is really high. Because imagine, like we were talking about how it's a pull based thing. Nobody's going to go to a life coach and pay money to understand their and get support unless they really feel that desire and feel like this person can actually help me. So the only thing the person needs to really feel is that, yes, this person can really help me solve it. And even if they sign up with you, but they are not benefiting from you, they will not continue. So the success barrier is really, really high. The only way you become a really good coach that is in demand is by creating that results and by being really good with what you do, that the clients keep coming back to you. Otherwise, you're going to run out of business and you're not going to be able to even pay your bills, right? So for me, that's why I say anyone can be a life coach, but I think it boils down to, what's your reason to become a life coach? Because a lot of times, I think sometimes when people don't understand the entire thing, they think, oh, this profession pays you a lot and all you have to do is just like chat, with people, and like this sounds like a very fancy profession. You can work from home, right? If those are your reasons, you will find yourself burning out and not being able to do that very well. But if if somebody has reasons of they really actually love this work, only then they will be able to keep doing it and keep getting better in a way that they get successful and people want to work with them, because the entry success barrier is really, really high in this one.
Right, right.
Does that answer? I think you were asking about like, um
How do you find the right
how do
coach?
you find a life coach? I think that you will really need to do the fitment. I think the beautiful thing about the coaches today is that they do a lot of free resources out there. Like I have a podcast that I did almost 90 episodes in, which I have actually done video podcast with my clients who
Um,
have been with me for years. So people can go and see that. where they talk about where they were and how their my coaching helped them, and we have a conversation just like this. It's on YouTube, it's on podcast. So I've created a lot of free resources so that people, before they actually come to say, you know what, I want this, they already have access to know, is this the right thing for them, or do they feel or not. And I think most coaches are doing some sort of free, at least a free call, if nothing else, right? So I would say anybody can leverage those calls, get on as many calls, shop around, because coaches love to do these calls. Even if you're not signing up, they love to help. Those who come in this profession really want to help. They love helping. They get satisfaction when they're able to help. So even if you don't sign up, you going and shopping around and actually understanding how they can help you, even if you say no to the offer, would be a great way for you to know which is the coach I feel like, yep, this person gets me and I can actually benefit from, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, that sounds like it. Like, they really want to help, and you can sense that when like somebody really wants to help you, or everybody's good at giving advices, but life
Hmm.
they charge for giving you advices. That's what I heard. Like,
It's a myth. Because
so,
life coaching is not about telling. I will tell you, in my first contract itself, there's a coaching agreement that we do. And the first thing is like, you're whole and complete. You're not going to get any advice. You're responsible for everything. Because I'm not going to tell them what to do. Even if they ask me, I don't tell them. Because I don't know, right? Like, how would I know what's right for you? Whether you should choose this profession, that, whether you should marry this person, this, whether you should ask for a raise or not, whether you should live in this country. I have no idea. And nobody else knows other than you, right? So I think that's a myth that life coaches give you advice. Maybe that's because this industry itself is very new, so maybe it started with people doing that level of superficial coaching where they're just telling you what to do and calling it life coaching because it's not regulated, right? So that's why I think maybe this one. But for me, like for actual life coaches, they will never give you advice because they don't know what they like. They literally don't know, you know?
right.
So
So,
this is a myth, I would say,
yeah. So, any other myths or misconceptions that you come across about life coaching?
in life coaching. Oh, plenty. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't need a life coach. And executives have life coaches, right? Like, the every executive in a multinational firm, like as you go in the senior leadership teams, you have coaches because you know that you can always do better. Every sports person, every person who's running for Olympics, they have coaches. Why do they have it? Like, there's nothing wrong with them, but they just want to excel at what they're doing and they want to do it faster and they're more ambitious. So, life coaching, I would say, is for ambitious people. That's one myth. The other myth, sometimes husbands, men would come to me and say, I think my wife needs a life coach. And I'm like, you know what? If you think your wife needs a life coach, then you probably would benefit from coaching because clearly you're thinking this, she needs to change in order for me to in order for her benefit or for us to have a good one. Then I think you probably need to really clean up your thinking about your wife and your life. There are a lot of myths because this industry is quite new. Probably they'll stay for a long while until this becomes like the new fitness. I think there was a time, remember when, like old times, when they say that nobody had these personalized fitness coaches, and now it's like a style statement. Everybody has a personal fitness coach, and it's like, yeah, I have it, and I consider this a priority. And I think that's what's going to happen with life coaching once you start understanding the value of it. Like since I started life coaching, taking coaching, which was like 6 7 years back, I have never stopped. I have multiple coaches now for different areas in my life while I coach others. So when you start to realize that how much value can someone add, and they're not even telling you, they are making you learn how to do that and be good at this, then you don't want to stop. So there will be a time when people will be like, oh my God, you don't have a life coach. You should really prioritize that.
Yeah.
It's coming sooner than we think.
So, can you share some success stories of your clients? I know you cannot take anybody's name, I know, but like
Yeah,
just a success story, just their story.
sure. I'll tell you the one client call I had today, which was a success story. She's like, this client is had gone through what she called emotional meltdowns in the last 1 week. And she came in like, oh my God, I've done this. I have put my kids to risk. I made the decision I shouldn't have made. I put, I'm not being a good mom and I should not have. She was all in like guilt and regret and like all of that, right? And she walked away completely relieved and she walked away like this was just one session. And I do notes, okay, because it's very useful for my clients to see the shifts and see how their thoughts really change and how when their thoughts change their reality changes. So it was very funny when I did the notes. I was like top thoughts and then bottom thoughts then she had when she left. And I can actually read because we are doing it anonymously. You know what, I'm going to read from the notes because I just sent the notes few hours back. So the thoughts at the top are, this was directly affecting my kids. I have put their life at risk. I put my entire family at risk. I've done something wrong. Why did I make this decision? It affected my husband, right? Two, um, some of the thoughts that landed for her, she came up with those thoughts, by the way, as we coached. If, I don't need to worry about relationships. I don't need to please others for keeping those relationships. If the relationships are meant to be, they will be.
Oh, wow.
Everything is working for me. It's okay if I'm being misunderstood. They are in their own journey, they will figure it out. I am safe even when I react to my feelings sometimes. I do not have to do anything for anyone. These are literally her thoughts, like before the session, after the session, right? So that's the power of just one session when they start to see clarity and see, that's the other definition I use for coaching, right? Coaching is just helping you see how your thoughts are creating your reality and challenge those thoughts. If your brain gives you like 60,000 thoughts a day minimum, not all of them are true. They're just borrowed thoughts that we have heard from someone. And if we don't challenge them, we continue to make them true. So my job as a life coach is to help them see what they're thinking so clearly and then challenge. Why are you thinking that? What's the proof? And when they don't have the proof, they're like, why am I thinking it? It's not even useful. And then they're able to shift it. And when they shift their thought, their feelings change, right? So that was just one session. The other success story I will tell you. Again, I'm also a hypnotist. I recently combined hypnosis. I didn't get a chance to tell you, na, Gayatri. Recently, I did hypnosis.
Oh, no.
Um, so they quit smoking. It was literally like a couple of sessions. They quit smoking. The other success story, the biggest success story. Let me go to my website. I'm very bad at memory. Okay, maybe I'll share one with you. So my website is called Mind Tales Consulting, and I have some where it's not been updated from the last 2, 3 years, but I have some testimonials that people shared in their experience. So I'm just kind of going there and reading like a couple because I don't remember. There are photos. Yeah, there's this. Yeah, the first testimonial is from this UK manager who actually found me through podcast. So when she came to me, she was quite. She was at a crossroads in her life. She was like, I don't know what decisions to make. She was struggling a bit with her finances and her, relationships as well as work. She was trying to get to the different level, right? So when we worked together, on her getting back to the job market and changing and asking for a raise. That really changed her. And then she wasn't expecting, but through this work, she was able to. And the job one happened in 3 sessions. She came in thinking she has to do a bunch of certifications before she will be ready for the next role, and realized you just are thinking that you need to do that because you're not believing in your capability enough. So we challenged that. So within 3 weeks, she landed multiple on interviews and then converted one offer. So then we started working on her relationships, and she was getting divorced, I think. She was going back into the relationship piece. So she was able to actually get herself to get excited about the new relationships. She was able to improve her relationship with her daughter. So that's just kind of one example. And she shares all of that if you see the website. So that's one example. The other is of a leader, an entrepreneur. This was interesting because she came in COVID. She's like, uh, I know I do a lot of shopping and I do a lot of this time wastage and I feel uncomfortable marketing myself, right? So her business was struggling. And as we worked through the coaching, her sentence was, I feel like, oh shit, I should have got this 10 years earlier, because if I had actually understood my brain in that way, then I would so many problems that I had never would have existed. So and the best part about her testimony was, she was like, you know what, Kavita, the money, the returns, apart from the returns that I'm already getting directly, indirectly, my shopping has completely reduced, because I used to do shopping out of that guilt and out of that emotion. And now I don't need it anymore. So that was amazing. Just some examples, but there are way too many, to share.
But do you come across any difficult clients who like they don't budge? I'd say.
They don't budge, as it.
As in, you try to give them coaching, but they don't want to change, or they don't get the point, or you know, you're not achieving what you want to do with them.
Um, so here's the thing, right? Like, first, the answer is definitely yes. There has, in fact, been a client who came in. Um, she thought that, sometimes people come and think that, oh, I just hired a coach and they will do then things will change, right? But they're not actually ready to really challenge the mindset.
Mm.
And most of the times it gets filtered out in the consultation. But this was really in the beginning of my work. I was getting better at how to filter. So I thought they had a desire. I signed them up, and then it became started to become very evident they want, like, I was the one doing the work, right? So and I got better with time in filtering that for myself, and identifying that in the first session itself, whether they are ready to change. In fact, one of the questions I asked them once we have done all of that, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you ready for the commitment and how much do you want it? And then, frankly, I don't sign any client who says less than 9.
Oh.
They need to be at least a 9 for me to actually offer them to work with me, right? So
Mm.
to your point, yes, absolutely. People, because we sometimes don't take full ownership of that, right? So there are clients, sometimes they come like that. Now there are other clients who come for deeper issues, deeper thought pattern change. Now, it's not that they don't want it, it just need repetition. And that absolutely is okay. They also understand that they're not going to change those thought patterns that they've had for 3 decades of their life in one session. So they sometimes beat themselves up. Most of my clients are like, I need to move faster and I want to do this, right? But I'm like, it's okay. This is a journey. You're not going to be able to change it in one session. And you have to be kind with yourself. But my job goes back to, I'm clarifying in the beginning that I am not going to do anything. You're the one, I'm just providing support. And what you take out of it is your commitment and your responsibility and ownership. So, because that is clear, I now see less and less of that. Every client that I now have is like fully like, I want to do this and I am ready for it and I will help me change. So, yeah, it's become less now.
Nice. Yeah.
But once in a while, maybe.
Yeah, but like you come across so many different energies throughout the day. How do you keep your own sanity?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I know people in self help feel like, I've heard therapists say that I get drained hearing the sob stories, but I don't. I think that's probably one of the other difference, Gayatri. I feel like between life, at least the way I approached see life coaching, is I am not buying their stories. So, for example, the client in the morning, she'd already messaged me, right, that I've gone through emotional meltdowns and I need coaching. And she came in. I already knew before, the 7 thoughts that I read to you.
Mhm.
I did not even know what happened. She just shared that before even sharing. But just because I'm hearing those thoughts did not send me in a drained off mode, because I knew that they're just thoughts her brain is telling her. What has actually happened is probably somebody said some words, something happened. And then there is a story that her brain is creating that's causing her emotion. And the moment I challenge that story, she's going to say, oh my God, why am I thinking this? Nothing has gone wrong. So I actually don't feel drained. I feel more energized after the sessions, in fact,
Mhm.
because I actually get energy from that, right? Because I'm not buying their story. Had I been buying their story, I'm like, oh my God, yes, so bad. This shouldn't have happened with you. This is pathetic, Then I will get drained. But as a life coach, I'm holding that space so high for them, so high energy for them, and I'm not buying their story. So when they come in, they shed their story and join my energy.
Right.
I'm holding energy very strong, positive. So if they come in with like a negative energy, then that's light and it drains away and they come to me. I don't let myself go, right? Then I'm not being a good life coach.
Right.
It could be my personal answer. Maybe the others feel differently, but that's just how I see. I don't get drained because I can see there are a bunch of stories they're coming up with, you know?
So basically, when somebody comes to you with some complaint, you don't ask them why this is happening. You just ask them how you should not think about that problem.
Yeah. So when somebody comes to me, so here's the thing, right? Think about where our suffering comes from, whatever. It's not actually because we don't know what's going to happen
Right.
next moment, and we have so much capability that you can create anything you want. But the reason you're not creating what you want is because you have a bunch of thoughts about what has already happened. So
Mm,
you're actually pulling from past whatever happened, even if it happened yesterday.
mm,
Whatever happened. If you're in a call with me, you're safe.
mm, mm.
You're like, otherwise you wouldn't have come on call with me, right? So if a client is already here, they're safe, they're fine. The only thing that's happening is their brain is talking or thinking about something that happened either 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or yesterday, and making up a story that's not useful. So
Right.
I'm going to be like, okay, it happened, you lost, let's say you got fired.
Mm,
Let's say you got fired. Okay, now what? You're
mm,
future focused, right? What do you want to make of it? Because you can either make it a gift.
right.
And I remember Kat, the testimonial from UK person I was reading.
Mm,
She came up with this thought after coaching. We did a live together. And she was like, the best thought I got was anything negative happens, and my brain is like, oh, it's a gift. It's a gift. Let me figure out what the gift is. I have to unravel it. Right now, it's a thought.
right.
You could, if you're approaching everything, it's like, this is working out for me. I just have to see how it's going to work out. You're in a completely different energy, and next moment, you're going to create exactly what you want. But the problem and the limitations come from us choosing stories that don't serve us. And that's why I really just have to say, what are the facts? Tell
Mm,
me, I'm like that, person in the court. You know how when you go to them, they are not going to listen to your story. They're going to be like, okay, what are the facts?
yeah.
Right? So I am being a little bit of that. Okay, what are the facts? This person said X. Now, all of the other things, okay, this shouldn't have happened. He shouldn't have done that. This should have gone differently. I shouldn't have done that. I have done something wrong. It's everything that you're choosing that's not making you feel good and not creating the result. So when we challenge that, then they choose different stories, and then they're able to, feel different and like go ahead and create different results. Is that making sense? I know this is like a
No, that makes sense.
long explanation of the process, but I
Yeah,
think it's useful.
that makes sense. And this actually makes me think that everybody, like each person in this world, should take a life coaching because
I'm like, why not?
yeah,
Right? Why not?
everybody keeps thinking like this, like sticking to their past.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Yeah, true. That's like a Ferrari ride. Like that's the other example I give analogy. Like, yeah, can you live life on a cycle? Yeah, you can. You can even walk. You don't even need a cycle. But if you can get a Ferrari ride, why wouldn't you?
Why not?
Someone is like, no, I don't like Ferraris. I like my cycle. That's okay. They decide for themselves. But most people would say, yes, I want a Ferrari ride, you know?
But that brings me to my next question. Like for
Yeah.
Ferrari, we need extra money. So
Mm.
this is again, I don't know if it's a myth, misconception, or it's a fact that
Yeah.
unless like unlike counseling, life coaching is not covered by insurance. And
Yes.
life coaching is very expensive. That also I heard. So why would somebody go to like how what's the motivation for somebody to go to a life coach?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's what we were talking about. Now, like, yeah, Ferrari ride, if you want a Ferrari ride, it comes at a cost. Like, for example, people in US, everybody wants the latest iPhone. Do they need the latest iPhone as soon as it's released?
No.
No, right? Probably sometimes the features, they don't use bunch of features. But everybody wants it.
want
Why do they want it? They will pay extra money. They want iPad and Mac and that watch, even though they may not be using it other than watching the time sometimes.
it, right?
Right. But
Right.
we want it. So if you really see life from that perspective, life is for you to do what you want to do. And you get to decide, like everything has a price based on whatever, company decides based on the cost, etc. Now, whether it's good for you or not, that every individual can decide. So, for example, my 6-month program is a $5,000 for outside of US and approximately 4,000 equivalent dollars in India, right? When I charge that money, I am actually like, my program has like 20 sessions and I'm spending like 1.5 hour with them in each of those sessions. And then I'm connected with them because I like to work deep. I am not just doing sessions with them. We are in partnership and I'm coaching them in like between on WhatsApp and they're doing the work every day. So it's like a partnership, right? Now, how do you price something like that? It really depends on how much I value my own time. And if I see how much my company was paying me, right, for my time, even if equivalent I charge here, somebody could think it is costly and that's okay, right? Like if they think it's expensive, then if they think it's expensive, they don't have to buy it. But what we realize, I think what my clients realize, because they keep coming back to me year after year, is the returns that they get
Yeah.
is way more, like way more than what they're spending. So, for example, I did a podcast on that, by the way. How much should I pay for life coaching? Okay. This client, I helped her free up 10 hours of her time in her schedule. She was saying she doesn't have time, she wants to go for the next role. Now, imagine just 10 hours of your time every week for the rest of your life.
Mm.
How much is that worth? Like, what all she can do now that she has 10 hours free every week?
Yeah.
If she decides, she can make way more money, and people do. People within that 6-month time frame earn way more.
Mm.
But people realize they don't even want money. What they want is time with the kid, or they want to go for a dance class, or they want to travel with their family, right? So it really buys you that time in life to do things
Right.
that you will elevate your specific experience. And those who value it don't think it's expensive. They think that this is way more important. My clients tell their husband, I will not go for a vacation, but I will do coaching because this is what helps me get the clarity. So it's all about priorities, and not everybody has the same priorities. So,
True. Yeah. That's
and
interesting. Yeah. So,
plus, you will get price points for everybody. Like everybody. So, for example, me, I
mm,
have 13 years of experience in corporate,
mm,
right? I
mm,
have I was already earning to a certain level. I have a level of expertise already that I'm all bringing all of that in my coaching. And then I have done bunch of certification. I'm a hypnotist also. I am now doing Zumba also. I'm like bringing in so many elements and I keep learning. Vipassana, for example, I just did spiritual experience. So if you really see, it's sometimes I think the other flaw that I've seen in thinking of people is um, you're just spending 1 hour with me, so it should not cost that much.
mm,
But what they're not realizing that in that 1 hour, because I have spent those 13 years in my work and because I have learned from so many people and because I have spent endless number of hours processing this, applying in my own life, I can get you in one session that level of clarity that years of probably just trying to do on your own and wasting that time would not. And
right.
I actually had a client, did a session with her. She said, in this session, I gained clarity and I feel like I got more out of this one session than I got in 4 months of therapy that I've been doing.
Oh, wow.
Now, how do you compare that, right? Like, how do you compare the value of you getting that clarity in one session versus the time you spend? You technically got way more hours from one person.
Right.
But so that's, I think it's really everybody's way of thinking and they get to decide what works for them.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So, what kind of ethics do you follow as a life coach?
What kind of ethics do I follow? I mean, I think a major one is really the confidentiality part, right?
Right.
So, for example, one of my thing is that I make sure that anybody who comes in, whatever they share, will be completely confidential because people do have uh, thoughts about. like they don't sometimes feel safe sharing them, right? So confidentiality and creating that safe space so that my clients can trust me is, I think, the biggest one, and I stick to that. Now, because I market a lot and because people actually love hearing stories, so I take consent from my clients on who is ready, willing to share. And I still do that anonymously, but sometimes they only are the ones that like, yes, we want you to share, please share our name, right? Like they will be the ones giving testimonial because they no longer feel, they also want to help with their story. That's why they will even do a podcast telling exactly what they worked on, right? But yeah, I think the confidentiality and the trust factor and really drawing boundaries and respecting their boundaries. And because anyway, the way I hold space is I become very clear with the boundary in the beginning in the coaching agreement on how this relationship is going to work in terms of, if they are responsible for their own decision. Like there are a bunch of things there. I think all of them get addressed. But I think basic as a human, like whatever is required generally in professions, I feel like life coaching probably requires a level up from that because you're dealing with very sensitive um, emotions of people and personal details that you have of people are,
Right.
so it's just that, yeah.
Yes.
So life coaches use a lot of, what is the word? Use a lot of, I'm looking for a word, discretion
Uh-huh.
and care in the way.
Is the trust that
Um,
you build with your clients.
yeah. Nobody would come if they don't trust, right? That's like a basic.
Yeah.
So that's the relationships are way more important
Right.
than anything else in this business, frankly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So any advice for the aspiring life coaches?
I would say that become very clear on your reasons for why you want to become a life coach.
Mhm.
Really, like go deeper into why. Why do you think that you want to do this? Because the truth is, since we were talking about this industry success barrier really being high, unless you're really fueled internally with, I love this work, I would do this even if I wasn't paid, and I'll continue doing this until it works in the way, or even if it doesn't, right? That kind of attitude only comes when you really have love for what you're doing. So unless you really want to help people, unless you get joy out of it, unless you can, because I will tell you, I used to call myself social media shy, okay, when I was in my corporate world. And then when I switched to life coaching, I knew the only way people are going to understand this is when I market. And a part of me also wanted to market and share my story. But the journey it took for me to get comfortable expressing myself on social media was quite a hard one. And there are even times, especially because I'm touching these provocative topics that are not like people are not excited, like photography, for example. When somebody, photographer's business, you they can people want to come because they like to be seen in that glamorous way and they don't have to like sell, right? One of my client is photographer, right? A very different way of marketing because people come to you because they love being photographed. Life coaching, I'm touching on the pain points and the change work, and it's messy and it's hard. Even if people feel like I need that, I want that, they are just secretly hiding and they're not, for example, liking your post, or they're not acknowledging until they suddenly one day find the courage to reach out to you. So all this while, you might be doubting yourself, oh my God, I'm just speaking in the void. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. But there are people actually consuming the work and getting themselves ready. But if you don't have the fuel to keep going, irrespective of that validation and irrespective of, whether they pay you upfront or whether they want to work with you, then there's no way you're going to be in continuing to do the work that's needed to make it successful. So that's, I think, the biggest advice I would say is that get very clear on the why and get it in for the right reasons, and just know that it may work out quickly, but any transition, especially if you have not done entrepreneurship and you're switching from a job to coaching, there is another level of change also, because working for yourself brings in a lot of change for your own system of how you think and how you plan your work, etc. And then life coaching, I would say nobody goes to a life coach whose life is not sorted. So if there's a lot of, you have to become, integrity is very important. If I am coaching someone to like on something, if I haven't done this, my even if I try to tell them the frameworks, it's not going to work because my energy wouldn't hold space for that. So I have to do a lot of work on myself, and I love doing this work. That's why it works for me, because I'm like, I love learning tools for self development and improving myself, and byproduct of this is my ability to coach. But if you are not ready for that level of work, then I would say that that may not be the right profession for you.
Right.
And you can always, and the other thing I would say is that you could always start to do life coaching parallelly, not thinking of it as a profession, but as a skill set that you can actually start serving people parallelly while you're doing your job, so that you don't put too much pressure on this profession to earn money. Because the moment money comes in, at least for me, I know that there was a lot of drama that I had to really work through, right? So imagine what you're doing. You're learning a new skill, which is to coach other people. You are learning how to manage your own time and be an entrepreneur and figure out things. You are also learning how to talk about what you do, marketing. You're also learning how to ask for money and be comfortable with it. And you're also working on your own life, relationships, and your own parenting. Everything that comes in that gamut gets sorted there. So there's a lot of work, right? So don't underestimate the amount of change you will have to go through. And if you're ready for it, and if it still pulls you and you want to help people, then there is no better profession than this. I feel like the impact you get to make on people's lives
Right.
is just so satisfying.
Yeah. So I was coming to that, like, what is the most rewarding part of coaching?
I have had moments in the sessions where I have literally like joy of like tears of joy rolling here. And I think for me as a person, have been coming from a spiritual background since childhood, I think I have always felt a lot of love for humanity and, society. And I always wanted to make like a level of impact in the world. And luckily, I'm attracting people, the leaders, women leaders who also want to make that level of impact. So I think the most rewarding um, moment recently happened was when my client switched her thought about her children, the way she was thinking about her child, and she also wants to help other children. Like one of her desires is to work with children. And it brought tears to my eyes, because I knew that this shift that she has made not only is going to help her feel so good about her life. I could see that in her face, and she was so free, and she was like, oh my God, this frees me. Not only her kids are going to get the benefit, but all of the kids she's going to work with in her future work are going to benefit from this so much. So I think the reward for me personally, I would say, is just seeing the ripple effect of the work that we're doing, the ripple effect of the joy that everyone gets to feel first, and then they're able to create wherever they go. Like it just makes the world a lot more joyful place. So that's rewarding for me.
Yeah. So I have a question about that the shift in thought, right? So when
Hmm.
you're talking to your coach, or even when you're talking to somebody else, you
Hmm.
feel like, oh my God, yeah, I am going to do this. I know I'm thinking something else, but I want to do this. At that moment, yes, your thoughts are shifted. As soon as you go back home, you come back to, your normal self.
If that's is happening, then your thought hasn't shifted. Then you're probably trying to change your thought, or try to get yourself to think a different thought without actually believing it, right? So there's difference in that. And because I've been coaching for so long, I can see the difference
So how do you
when somebody's.
there's a very thin line between that thing. So how do you keep track of it? that somebody
Yeah,
else.
I think it just becomes very evident in this one, and anyway, we will find out, right? Like the coming sessions, it'll become very evident, right? But to your point, I'll tell you, this is one of the reasons why affirmations don't work. What
Mm,
people do is they believe, let's say, they think they're not enough. What I'm doing is not enough. Now you keep hearing you are enough as you are a magnificent soul. Man, nothing is landing, right? Like, in fact, the more you hear that, the more you're noticing your irritation because you don't, it's not landed for you. But when you know it's landed for you is when it actually feels in your body. You can see the shift. And I'm a hypnotist, right? I use this, like, now I'm a hypnotist as well. So I can see when, like, body language of a person changes when the thought has landed. And
right.
they tell you, oh my God, like, this frees me up, right? Their body language becomes loose, they are way more freer, and they are the ones who are confident before even going ki now things are changing.
Mm,
Because they feel that shift. One is the thought, and the other is the actual feeling it creates in your body. So it's very easy to identify the shift has happened at this level or not. Now there's difference. Does that mean that if the thought landed, they're not going to go back to the pattern of it? No, they could still find themselves in the pattern, and that's where the repetition work would help. To your point, they may repeat it, but they will find themselves, like, in the process somewhere, oh my God, I again bought that story. So
right.
it's the way, I explain sometimes it is like, first when you come to me, you're probably not even realizing the lies that your brain is telling you. So first we go reflect on your past creations and we find those thoughts. When you identify them, we do the work, then you slowly start practicing it, then you start identifying it in the moment,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
That, oh my God, my brain is lying to me and I'm buying that story. This is not actually right. And then as you keep practicing, you get so good at it, you become proactive. You start thinking before that what I want to do because you've cleaned up that. And that applies to each area of your life. So that's the continuation of the work of changing your thought patterns. Does that answer?
Yeah, but then the environment where we are living, right? Like at
Yeah.
home, we have, for example, some client have like toxic environment at home. That client comes for coaching, his thought is changed. He realized that, okay, I have to change my thought process. But when he goes back home, the
Hmm.
environment is such that he again drops down. Like he's again goes back. Like,
So that's the work. Then the change hasn't fully landed, no? Because
right,
if the change, because one of the things in life coaching we're doing is taking full ownership of the work of your own life. Like, one of the base thing is that if you work with any life coach, they're like, you are creating your own reality, which means if for example, even if you're living in a toxic home, there's a choice you're making to stay there and stay in those relationships, right? And there's a role you're playing. Now, you can't change the other person, but you can change the way you are processing this and make different choices. So, once you have done that work enough, you will realize you will either make the choice to not be in that environment or that environment won't affect you anymore
right, right,
because you have strengthened your, like, it's the work is really to become unconditionally strong in your energy, right? The thoughts I'm choosing are not because you're telling me this is right.
right.
If I, this happens with women a lot, right? They'll be like, I was all sorted before I got married. Now their husbands have a very strong opinion and they share that. And when the woman is not very strong in her own thought process, she has self-doubt, she starts doubting herself, and then but she thinks it's because the husband is sharing the opinion. I did that to my husband. I'm like, please stop sharing your opinion because I feel like I'm doing something wrong. But the work wasn't for me to stop him, the work was for me to
Elevate.
question my self-doubt, doubt my doubt, and start lining up with, I know what's right for me. He has an opinion, and that doesn't mean anything. And once I did that work, which is what coaching helped me do, then I'm like, it's okay. You have a different perspective. That's fine. I don't think this way. Done. End of conversation, right? So that's the difference. That's what life coaching helps you do. Really become the person who chooses intentionally how to think, feel, and act in every area of your life,
Right.
you know?
Wow. Wow, that's really interesting.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you find it interesting. I find it very interesting.
I can see that your excitement about talking about.
Yes.
But can you do self-coaching? Do you ever do self-coaching? You do.
Yeah, lots and lots and lots of it. I think it just goes, I think coaches, it just keeps going on. It's an ongoing I think even while talking to you, I'm coaching myself.
Wow.
But yeah, I think that's the baseline. Like, the only I am only going to be able to take my clients as deep in their brains as I have gone in mine.
Right.
So yeah, I have a lot of self-coaching that I do in different ways, shape, and forms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also get coached because self-coaching can only show you some things.
Right.
So a lot of bigger, deep-rooted lies, we need coaches to show. Like I can see others' lies, others' brain lies easily, but I can't see my own. So when a coach holds that space for me, then I'm able to see my own as well. So a lot of self-coaching, yeah.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. What are your future plans?
Future plans. I think right now I'm in a phase. I just recently did like a 10-day Vipassana, and I'm like in the phase of like processing and like thinking what I want to do. I'm also thinking this year I want to do dance more. So I'm a Zumba instructor, I also teach Bhangra, and there's a desire this year building to go deeper in that. Um, so I used to be a very planned person in corporates, but now I'm lining up with like flowing with it. In fact, last week I launched a group offer. I'm actually starting a group program next week. I just made literally that video was me coming up, getting this idea in a cult class, like workout class. And I was like, before I chicken out, let me just roll out the offer. So I made a video. I said, I'm trying to line up with just go with the flow and do what feels like. And I'm rolling out this offer, and actually 5 people signed up
Wow.
so far, and I'm looking forward to more people joining us as well. So my immediate plans are I'm actually really excited about that group offer because this after a long while I'm doing a group program where I'm going to be coaching people in groups, and there's a lot of value that comes from people seeing each other being coached. Like you can see, oh, this is how our brain is lying, and then you're like, how am I doing that to myself, right? So I'm really excited for that group right now. It's a 6 month at least. I'm committing to that. And then I continue to have my one-on-one clients who I'm also doing hypnosis, getting more deeper into that. So I'm offering that 6 month program that I have clients with, and I have hypnosis small 3 session packages I'm doing. But other than that, I think I'm just learning to go with the flow and like let myself take the space and make decisions more randomly on what will, what feels will add more value. So I don't have like 5 year plan or even 2 year plan.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about hypnosis? Like that can be a different episode altogether, but since
It's an episode, different episode altogether. Like this session, we just were talking about thought work, right? So life coaching, we talked about thoughts creating your reality, right? So we were just talking about how your conscious mind thinks a thought and that creates a feeling and that gets you to act in certain ways and create results. That's one modality. The other modality that's used for helping people achieve different results is hypnosis. I think hypnosis has got a bad name because we only see those stories of people hypnotizing somebody out without consent, right? Like sleep and then they sleep, or like you do something and make them do what they don't want to do. But that's actually the opposite of this. Hypnosis is a very advanced techniques set of techniques that can be used to help somebody change their beliefs really quickly. So life coaching works with your conscious thought, but hypnosis works with your subconscious. So you know how you were saying that you go back, even though you've actually that thought has landed, but you go back and do the same things. That's where the unconscious sort of comes in because unconsciously the habit is to go there. That's the thought pattern that has been developed. So can do the work really even faster than the conscious thought work. So in hypnosis, what you're doing is you're actually creating the space for someone where they can put their guard down. It's almost like our brain keeps our guards up, right? Like, I need to logically think before I can let trust this person. But when you are in a trusting space, when you go to a hypnotist, you trust them and you want to make a change in your life, then it's almost like they create a space where you put automatically your guard goes down, and then the hypnotist has direct access to your unconscious. So whatever work you're doing landing indirectly. So the chances of that pattern completely changing itself is way more in like, and happens way quicker when you're working with the subconscious.
Mhm.
So again, that's probably another session in itself. Gayatri, I can go
Yeah.
deeper, but I don't want to confuse your audience.
Yeah, we'll make
But
another.
there's like memory reconsolidation it uses. There are lots of examples, a lot of fun stories that actually want to start recording on so that people can understand what hypnosis can do.
Right.
But they're all trying to do the same thing, help you change your thought patterns and live an intentional life that you like. Like,
Wow,
that's it. That's what these are doing.
nice. Well, thank you so much, Kavita, for all your inputs and your time. We really got to know what life coaching is, and we also understood that each person needs a life coach.
You're so welcome. I really enjoyed this conversation, Gayatri. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad it was helpful. And any questions your audience has, I'm very happy to answer. So feel free to, reach out to me if any of your audience member asks any.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody. Bye.